You're doing a good job there, and I've been monitoring some of these, obviously some bias towards Sawyer, but that's okay because we kind of have what we believe to be insider knowledge when it comes to some of these Baylor players. So why not go with that when he seems to do it on a weekly basis? More on Sawyer Robertson to come in the 2:00 hour because, Scotty, we've had a re-ranking. ESPN did a re-ranking. Bill Connolly did this. He did it after that first month. And, Sawyer had some great numbers in that first month. And so I think we thought he was a little low. He's redone it now to have 2 months of the schedule and we're into November and through the first couple of weeks almost in November. And more shocking moves by some of these quarterbacks. And it's also shocking to see some of the ones that were so highly rated, like where they've ended up. And even at the end of September, Scotty, our old friend John Mateer was riding high. And then he had that injury, you remember? And since he's come back with that injury and all, it's a little bit surprised that he was getting Heisman talk. It'll be interesting to kind of reveal to folks where these quarterbacks are, and you'll be happy to know that Sawyer, while the Bears have not been great, we thought they might fire their coach if they had lost to UCF, right? They're only 5-4. Sawyer has moved because we thought Sawyer's not getting enough credit for all these incredible yards. He's not getting enough, he has moved up. He has moved up. So we're not talking, you're not going to win a Heisman when you go 6-6 or whatever the Bears are going to go, or 5-8, 5-7. But he's kind of climbing back up in there. So I'm really glad to report that. Scotty, the CFP has spoken. We'll hear from Mack Rhoades coming up and let you and kind of react to what Mack Rhoades had to say. Scotty, I have that as like the most thankless job in all of America right now. In some ways, that's prestigious, right? He's the chairperson for the CFP. And then you go on there and everybody, what about Oklahoma? Why is Miami here? Why is A&M third? Why is Texas Tech behind these other teams that have one loss and Texas Tech has done this, and this? Why did BYU fall? I mean, it's like, and then you got like 4 minutes and you got to try to like react and answer a bunch of stuff. I think he's doing fine. It's funny to me, Scotty, do you remember, and Scotty, this was a little bit before your time, but there was a White House press guy, and I'm trying to think if he was this when Clinton was president? There was a famous, the White House press person, director was Ari Fleischer. And he's dabbles into politics and talks about stuff and gets people mad. Ari Fleischer is a name from the past, all right? He's somehow involved with this whole CFP. Now, there's a guy named Brett Daniels who used to be with the Dallas Cowboys as one of their PR people, who's a great friend of mine, and he has a fairly prominent role in the CFP. And so Brett's a guy that I can turn to if we ever want the executive director of the CFP or something. We can do that. But I have been tipped off that, and maybe it's common knowledge, I don't know, but Ari Fleischer, who is like some sort of well-known White House official from the past. Ari Fleischer's got to be by now in his late 50s, early 60s. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. But Scotty, when we wonder, like, who's coaching Mack up on all this? Like, well, how does Mack, because not that Mack doesn't like put all his research and all that kind of stuff, but somebody really needs to kind of prep him so that Reese Davis doesn't ask him anything that catches him too far off guard, right? And I believe it is none other than Ari Fleischer who is somehow involved with CFP. So there you go, a little in the weeds on that. Scotty, let's share with our folks what yesterday's results as they came out, the latest CFP rankings. Okay, there we go. The Week 12 rankings, and then I want Scotty to come in here in a minute. I'll give you a couple of my initial thoughts. Right now, interesting to see Texas and OU and Notre Dame, those two lost teams, just automatically, well, let's put them all in front of BYU. BYU did not play great in that game. It was a road game against a tremendous Texas Tech team. But, one of Texas's losses to freaking Florida. They've already fired their coach. BYU has one loss. We're gonna automatically put BYU 2 spots behind University of Texas. My gosh, Oklahoma lost to that Texas team. They got a couple of really kind of suspect losses themselves. So anyway, I don't really feel like either one of those teams should automatically just be ahead of BYU. Utah back there lurking. Okay, Baylor, that'd be a great win for Baylor, because if Baylor wins, they go to 6-4. That's not going to mean that much, but it certainly would be a great win over a team the committee seems to like. So I would say overall the committee does not have a great opinion of the Big 12, would be my thought. Because like Tech, we're talking, think about like some of those games that they've won. They beat convincingly 29-7 BYU. They go to Utah. Those teams are now ranked 12th and 13th, and they blew Utah out at its own place. Those 2 wins are like extremely impressive. And you got Alabama and Georgia up there. Now, again, Alabama has a horrible loss. Let's remember, they lost to Florida State to open the season. Florida State has gone on to be really bad, and its coach may get fired. So I think to automatically have Alabama and Georgia has squeaked by in some wins. Okay, let's remember, and they obviously can never beat Alabama. So I think Texas Tech has an argument to be higher than they are. I also think BYU does. While they got beat convincingly, I don't know if it was enough 29-7 at Tech to drop them down below all these 2 lost teams. Boy, they love losses, certain losses, but like why is the Florida not held more against the University of Texas? And by the way, what is Texas's great win that has them ranked where they are? Like Texas right now is in the bracket. Over Oklahoma? I guess so. Okay, really? That's their great win. I guess the Vandy one. Vandy almost came back and beat them. So they got wins over OU and Vandy, and that has them up there high enough at 10. Now, Scotty, I want you to respond to all this. The other one I would say is Miami's got a beef sitting down there at number 15 right now, because you got 2 lost Vandy ahead of them, 2 lost Utah, 2 lost OU, 2 lost Texas, 2 lost Notre Dame. Every one of them ahead of Miami. Now, what's the biggest problem you would have with that? Well, they beat one of the 2 lost teams. They played Notre Dame and they beat them to start the season. Like, it's like, well, did that not count? Was that an exhibition game? We came back to this, Scotty, so much over, the Baylor TCU argument over the years, the head-to-head matchups. It seemingly should figure in somewhere. It's why. Why is Alabama above Georgia? Well, because they got a head-to-head. You got a head-to-head in there. Look at these other games that you might be able to match up with some of the. Why is BYU below Tech? Well, they just played. So I don't know. It seems kind of crazy to have a team 6 spots back of a team they beat, and they both have 2 losses. I mean, Miami's numbers, by the way, strength of, if you want to look at I'm trying to think of the strength of record or strength of schedule. I think the strength of record is like 13th. Okay, it's not bad. It's not like, oh my gosh, they play in the ACC, so they're horrible. All right, in a minute we'll look at the bracket, but Scotty, I want to let you react to some of that. Anything you disagree with, or any other things that jumped out at you about where the committee ended up?
No, I don't think anything's particularly surprising. I'm thankful Cincinnati gets in there. I was kind of surprised they weren't ranked last week. That helps the Big 12 as well. You know, I agree with what you said about head-to-head. It seems irrelevant in a few spots here. You know, I'm interested to see what happens, Matt. We're going to have some chaos here in that top 11. Texas playing Georgia and Texas A&M, Oklahoma playing Alabama. Depending on how those games go, I mean, this is going to change really drastically in the next 2 to 3 weeks. South Florida making the appearance as the Group of 5 team here. Did you see Josh Pate's suggestion that there is I wouldn't call it a large chance, but there is a real path to the ACC having no teams in this playoff?
Yeah, I did see the scenario. I have a hard time sort of buying it. But
So here's the question ultimately. If Duke plays Georgia Tech in the the ACC title game, which if it were today, that's who it would be. Duke has 4 losses. Only one of those is an ACC loss. If Duke were to play Georgia Tech in the ACC title game and win, and obviously a lot can change between now and 3 weeks from now, you either propel Duke above South Florida and James Madison, which they are currently not, or you put in Miami. And here's the problem, Matt. Does Miami deserve to get in this playoff when they can't finish higher than 3rd in the ACC? I think Miami is probably the toughest team to rank here because there are people who feel like they beat Notre Dame, and look, Notre Dame's number 9, head to head. And I resonate with that. But there's also a thought here, dude. If Miami can't even finish top 2 in the ACC, they don't belong in the college football playoff. That's the worst Power 4 conference. Why are you going to put a team that finishes 3rd or 4th in the ACC in the playoff?
Maybe it would be better for them not to be in the game and finish out if they won out. So are you saying if Miami wins out, there's a scenario, even if they win out, that they might not be in the ACC championship game?
Correct, because they already have 2 conference losses.
Yeah.
The cleanest path forward for the ACC, and I'm not just saying this because I've kind of been rooting for them, if Georgia Tech wins out and wins the title, that's a clean 1-loss team that won the ACC. That's a clean scenario for the committee. Duke could really make this thing weird, man. Duke's got Virginia, which would give them a ranked win here. And I think Duke should win that game. They've got UNC, which they should win. And they've got Wake Forest, which that's an interesting matchup. Wake Forest, of course, just beat Virginia and has upset others this season as well.
Yeah. They did bring that up last night with Heather Dinich, what you're talking about, what Josh Pate, I think, brought up maybe first. I will tell you this, because I wanted to look this up while you were saying that, thinking about Miami here. 13th in strength of record, as I was saying. I was trying to make sure that was right. Have 4 wins versus FPI top 35 teams. basically the top 25% of FBS. FPI is a thing that index that ESPN uses. Scotty, would you like to guess which Big 12 team only has one win against a top 35 FPI team? And it's a Big 12 team that's in the top 25.
I was going to say, I bet it's BYU.
Utah. Utah's sitting there with only one. So the 4 wins that Miami has versus FPI top 35 teams, more than anyone other than A&M and Alabama. And, of course, they have the same record as Notre Dame, and they have the head-to-head. So some of that will wash out. You noticed at the very end of the huge dispute when Bob Bowlesby wouldn't declare a Big 12 champion, despite Baylor beating TCU head-to-head, that at the very end, they did jump Baylor into 5th, and it didn't matter to anybody. Now, if they had to put Baylor at 4th and kept TCU out, they would have gone, those folks would have gone crazy. It didn't really matter in the end, but they did wait, and then they did the head-to-head. Then they did the head-to-head metric. Now, I'm not someone, Scotty, who believes that if a team owns a head-to-head and then they go lose a bunch of games, like you can't just go, hey, wait a second, they beat them head-to-head. No, you still have to look at the rest of the schedule. But if it's close, and some of the metrics really support Miami over Notre Dame. Notre Dame benefits from being outside of structure, having an occasional week off against, this is unfair, this is unkind to Navy, but against Navy. And there's a couple of others that show up on the schedule. They just don't have. And boy, I found it interesting, by the way. I don't know exactly when he was doing it, maybe after the game the other day. Because I think it was when Joey was saying nice things about BYU.
I was about to bring this up, yeah.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Go ahead if you want to bring it up.
Well, yeah, Joey McGuire said something to the effect, talking about BYU, of like, I really respect them.
Yes.
For getting out of an independent schedule and joining a conference, unlike someone else, and you all know who I'm talking about. And of course, he's speaking directly to Notre Dame. And it's interesting, Matt, because you'll recall the Big 12 brought back the conference championship game because when Baylor and TCU got leapfrogged by Ohio State the very first year of the 14 playoff, the justification was, well, Ohio State had an extra data point that Baylor and TCU did not because they played in a conference title game. But for some reason, we don't penalize Notre Dame for not having that data point.
I'll never forget, Scotty, that day I sat there and watched Wisconsin just lay down in a game that we needed Wisconsin to step up. I guess that was the Big Ten title game, right?
It was.
And needed Wisconsin to step up and play. And I can't remember what some weird circumstances, because I feel like Barry Alvarez, who was their longtime coach, had to come back to coach them because of, I can't remember what was going on. But they had a great running back who played for a long time in the NFL. And they still, Melvin Gordon was the running back for Wisconsin. And he went on to have a pretty good NFL career, as I recall, was drafted real high in the NFL draft. And they just laid down to Ohio State.
He was at the Heisman ceremony, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. They may have lost that game like 59-13. I've never seen a team just go out there and just lay down for another team, and that screwed over Baylor and TCU.
I've seen another team lay down even worse, because I watched TCU play Georgia in the national title game a few years ago.
Yeah, but they were trying, is the sad thing. I don't know. I think it would be better for TCU if they actually did lay down and they had that excuse, like, oh, we just weren't into it. We just weren't into the national title game. They set back the conference and all of us. Again, would I trade playing for a national title if I knew that I was going to get annihilated? The answer is yes. Yes, I would take it. But it is, to your point, Scotty, very weird that the Frogs have just never recovered from that day. I mean, it's just, they've just kind of been kind of blah ever since, right? Kind of snuck back their way into an 8 or 9 game win season last year, kind of the way Baylor did a little bit. But other than that, to go from the mountain playing for a national title, that's really all we want with these playoffs, by the way. We act like we love the little guy, but generally what most people want is for the little guy to go ahead and get out of the way. And it was really wild to see the little guy play for a national championship. All right, man, we have covered a lot of ground today already. And there's more college. Scotty, there's probably some Campus Confidential that you've prepared that we didn't even get to there. Last night, I found myself, and we'll do some of that coming up. I did find myself watching some college basketball. Tech played Illinois. Wake Forest almost knocked off Michigan in Detroit, game that was played in Detroit. That Wake Forest team looked really good, and they just could not finish the deal. They had a great chance to win the game, and they couldn't get it done. But and then last night, scary deal, Scotty. Louisville looks like they got a team, man. Woo! I mean, can you imagine our old friend from Louisville who's at St. John's now? What if St. John's and Louisville, where he used to coach, are like the best 2 or 3 teams in the college basketball? Louisville looks scary. Yo, man, they put it on Kentucky, 96-88. That's a huge rivalry game. And Louisville went out there and said, hey, man, we can play. They got a kid named Mikel Brown Jr., I think is his name, Scotty. Uh-oh. I mean, it's just like, hey, we got this point guard. He was the number 7 recruit in the country, and he can flat out go, man. I mean, he is good. That scares me when I see all these teams with like great point guards, because the Bears do not have a conventional point guard right now. Although my man Ike Williams came off the bench the other night and just kind of, he was just zipping around the court, doing some good things. So I was encouraged by that. Tell you what we'll do. Take care of our wonderful sponsors. And then I tell you, we'll get into, got some the college game, more college football, including, I tell you what we need to do, Scotty, now that I think about it, we'll do Campus Confidential next. And as part of that, we'll let you hear from Mac Rhodes last night, Baylor's director of athletics, and we'll hear from him next.